I mean, in any profession, if you're not going to do it for 6 months and you come back to it, you're going to be a little patchy when you start. So what's your plan in terms of overseeing the practice? Does the first week just go by without any judgment, and then do you start making your judgments? When does that start happening?
Well, I think the process has already started in the last few months.
Right.
In a way, we've had staff that have been working behind the scenes to start to prepare some of the players, particularly mentally.
Yeah.
So we have had a number of Zoom sessions with some of the younger players here to start to get them ready for some of the experiences they might experience in this IPL.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, that's been ongoing.
Yeah.
But now, I guess the cricket side of things takes over, where they're physically out there training, getting back into their skills and stuff like that. So we've used this. We know that 3 weeks is going to be the bare minimum we need, given they've had such a long layoff. So it's sort of a gradual process where the first week they're getting back into things in the nets, getting that confidence back that they do this naturally. And then by the second week, hopefully they're physically getting through that all right. There's no niggles or no soreness. Then we can start to up the intensity with obviously match scenarios and practice like that. And then by the third week, that's when we've got matches organised for the guys to really start to get used to the pressure again of playing games.
And then they start playing.
And then they start playing.
Wow.
And it is a long tournament too, so we're also mindful that we want to be playing our best. Obviously, we want to start well, but we're also mindful that you have to sustain it for 8 weeks and play your best at the end if you want to win it. So you can't just obviously pick and choose when that's going to happen. You've got to be consistent, and that's something that we'll obviously be impressing on the guys.
So as the coach, it's not just cricket this time around. You also have to watch the bio bubble. How involved are you, and how difficult is it to be coaching people from inside your room? Must be pretty difficult, right?
Well, it's been difficult.
I mean, sports and work from home are not phrases that you put together. How are you managing in this?
Well, I've tried to have everything prepared while I've
Yeah.
had that isolation to myself in terms of all the meetings that we have and all the preparation for obviously analysis of oppositions and stuff like that. So I've tried to use that time to get all that stuff done so that when we do meet, we can actually focus on having those discussions and having one-on-one interviews and having chats with players, which is a huge part of the job in terms of preparing them mentally for what's coming up and also for their roles. Putting them in a place where they feel comfortable with what the expectations are, what role we see them playing. So that's going to be the important part of this next week, is having a lot of those conversations. So the first week or so will be very busy. Obviously the guys start training as well on top of that. But it'll be exciting to be able to see everyone and start chatting face to face rather than having to either message or have WhatsApp calls.
You've coached numerous teams, and IPL is so different from international cricket, and the situation that we're in now is new to you, it's new to me, it's new to everyone in the world. How different and challenging is this going to be for you?
Very challenging.
I mean, the IPL aspect of it, which is different cultures coming together, and then a pandemic. Really, on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult is this for you?
Oh, it's right up there, because when I look at it from my own point of view, this is my first opportunity as a head coach in IPL. I've had experience as an assistant, and I've had head coach experience in other leagues, but not in the IPL. So in a way, it presents another challenge. But I think the way I'm trying to approach it is to make sure that treat it with a fluid approach where we have to go with the flow in a way, because things will change from day to day, and we've just got to understand that that's the times we live in at the moment. There is uncertainty. Things are going to be all over the place at times, in terms of you have something planned and then it could change a day later because of something unforeseen happening. So I think we've got to make sure there's an element of being relaxed about that and not getting too wound up about things that can change at the last minute. So I'm trying to approach it like that, but also know that you plan for what you want to achieve and just go full forward with that, rather than just obviously expect that things might be difficult and approach it with that sort of mindset. I'm just trying to stay positive around it all.
The next chat is the fact that the 12th man isn't going to be around this time. I'm talking about the fans, and the RCB fans are just beautiful. They're not here this time. They're going to be playing in empty grounds, how are you going to motivate them? I mean, fans play such a big part, right? And they're not going to be there this time. Do you see that being a cog in the wheel, or you think the players will get around it?
Oh, I think the players will be motivated enough. As I mentioned earlier, you know, there's a lot at stake. Yeah. You know, in terms of opportunities that present, and players want to make the most of that. Yeah. They know this is a big tournament, and they, you know, plenty of players over the years have made names for themselves in the IPL. So there'll be a lot that will be thinking along those lines. Personally, I think some of the younger players will actually enjoy the fact that there's a little bit less pressure with less people at the ground creating all that noise and distraction. I think it will be more of a challenge for some of the older guys that are used to, you know, the buzz of the crowd and getting their adrenaline going, because there's nothing better than having that as a player and knowing that when you start to go, particularly from a batting point of view, you know, the crowd are right behind. And that's something that we'll obviously address as a team. And I dare say that, you know, there'll still be a lot of motivation within our squad to go out there and perform well, and also know that whilst they might not be there physically, the RCB fans will be with us there in spirit.
Simon, the next question, they say curiosity could kill a cat. I'm worried I might get killed by the end of this interview because all the questions I have are just challenges. The next one is the fact that a few players from England and Australia are joining in late. Does that sort of put you in a limbo in terms of planning the strategy, or are you already aware of how you're going to be placing them?
Yeah, look, there's no set decision yet on whether they're going to miss, because we don't have the schedule yet. So that's the hard part of knowing whether they actually do miss games. But we're also aware that they might. So from that point of view, you know, we've been looking at those plans in the last week or so once we realised that there might be a clash, particularly if they do have to quarantine when they get here. Obviously, when we went through the auction process, you know, it feels like it was nearly a year ago now.
It was a year ago, I guess.
We were assuming we were going to play half our games at Chinnaswamy. We assumed we were going to have all these guys fully available. So, like I mentioned before, we can't get too worked up about things that change at the last minute. We've just got to make do with them best we can. But also look forward to the fact that it's going to actually give opportunities, if they aren't available early on, to some of our other players that they might not have got. And then that in itself creates, you know, a great opportunity for someone to just put their name up and show what they can do, but also increase the squad depth as well, which could well be very important with what's going to be a long tournament. So, like anything, you look for the positives and you look for, you know, how to manage it best, and I think we'll be able to do that.